Right now, somewhere near the border of Sudan, an old man is hiding. America did put a huge bounty, millions of dollars on his head. The biggest criminal court in the world has been waiting for him for over 20 years. He's one of the people that are on this list, the list of the most dangerous criminals to ever exist in the continent of Africa. And I must warn you, now, the man at number one is not part of the past. He's out there right now. And countries including America are spending millions looking for him. This list is not about who ended the most people. This list asks the scariest question. Which men completely beat the systems that were built to stop them? The prisons, the police, the courts. Because that is what makes a criminal truly dangerous. Not the crime itself, but the escape from the justice. One of these men were only stopped after the government executed the police officers who were protecting him. It's that time again that I ask you to subscribe if you are new on this YouTube channel. I just realized that we are about to reach 200k subscribers. We are only left with about 10k subscribers. So if you are new on this YouTube channel, please, I'm kindly asking if you can subscribe and like the video. When I see you in the comments, I'm always grateful, and thank you so much for the amazing support. Let's continue with the video. Pretoria, South Africa, a prison called CMAX, the strongest, most secure prison on the whole continent of Africa. Prisoners stay locked up 23 hours a day. The cells were designed so that escaping is not just hard but impossible. In December 2006, one man made CMAX famous for the wrong reasons. His name was Ananias Mate. Mate was born in Mozambique. He crossed into South Africa and built a terrible criminal record there. Armed robberies, car hijackings, breaking into rich homes. By the mid-2000s, South African newspapers called him one of the most dangerous criminals in the country of South Africa. The police hunted him hard. They caught him. They locked him up inside CMAX, and then he was gone. The story that spread across South Africa sounded like a movie. People said Mate covered his whole body with Vaseline and squeezed himself through a tiny window, a gap so small that investigators first refused to believe a grown man could pass through it. The newspapers called him a magician. But prison officials told a different story. They said there was no magic at all. They said guards were bribed, an inside job, and a later investigation pointed to corruption, not magic. And honestly, this story should scare you more, because a man who fits through a window is just a strange miracle of the body. But a man who passes through the guards themselves has found the true weakness of every prison in Africa. Keep that idea in your mind, corrupt officers. Because as we dive deeper in this documentary, it is not a small part of the story anymore. It becomes the whole story. For weeks, Mate was the most wanted man in South Africa. He kept robbing while he ran. When police finally caught him again, the court hit him with everything. He was found guilty on many charges, and in 2008, he was sentenced to more than 50 years in prison. In November 2016, Ananias Mate died in prison, reportedly from sickness. Mate showed us something every African country quietly fears. Our strongest walls are only as strong as the salary of the man holding the keys. Nigeria. The year is 1986. The city is Benin City. For 4 months, September to December, one man ruled this city after dark. Banks were robbed in daylight. Police officers were shot dead in their own patrol cars. Police would tremble when people whispered his name. Taxi drivers paid him money for protection, and in the markets, people did not call him Lawrence Anini. They called him the law. Think about that for a moment. This was a country under military rule. Soldiers stood on every corner, and still the people of Benin City looked at a criminal and decided he was the law. Anini started like many underworld legends as a driver, a brilliant driver actually, a man who knew the back roads of Benin better than the police who patrolled them. From driving taxis, he moved into crime. He joined a gang. Then in 1986, something broke. and Anini declared war, not on other criminals, no, but on the police force itself. Officers were ended, police stations were shot at. This was no longer robbery. This was a small war and people lost their lives. And here is where the story becomes too painful. The police could not catch Anini because the police were working for Anini. His protector was not some small street informant. His protector was Deputy Superintendent of Police George Liam, one of the most senior police officers in that state at that time. Liam gave Anini the police plans. When police set a trap, Anini knew before they did. When police raided a house, the house was already empty. The hunter was secretly working for the animal he was hunting. Strange, isn't it? But not strange in Africa. People in the city said he could disappear. They said bullets could not touch him. They said he had charms that made him invincible. But the truth was simpler and much uglier. He could see the police coming because the police were showing him that we are coming. The shame reached the very top of Nigeria. In a meeting of the military government, President Ibrahim Babangida turned to his Inspector General of Police and asked the question that entered Nigerian history: where is Anini? When the president of a nation has to ask that question out loud, the criminal has already won, something that money cannot buy. But every legend ends. On the 3rd of December 1986, police received a tip-off and stormed a hideout in Benin City. Anini was captured alive. He was shot in the leg during the arrest, and the wound was so bad the doctors later removed the leg. The man who once ran a whole city could no longer run at all. The trial destroyed the myth completely. There were no charms, there was no disappearing. There was just a driver, a gun, and a police uniform that had been sold. Anini was sentenced to death and was executed by firing squad on the 29th of March 1987. And George, the senior police officer who was protecting the criminal, he was also tried, found guilty, and executed together with the gang he served. He became one of the most senior police officers in Nigerian history to face the firing squad. Now ask yourself the big question of this video. If men in uniform could be bought in 1986, what does a criminal look like when he upgrades that same plan, but with mobile phones and foreign money? Magodo, Lagos, one of the most exclusive estates in the city. In a beautiful mansion lived a quiet, generous man. His neighbors believed he was a successful businessman. They were half right. Business was very good. His name, if I'm pronouncing it right, Chukwu Dumeme. But Nigeria knew him by one name: Evans, and his business was human beings. Evans made kidnapping a system. His gang studied targets the way banks study investments. His victims were not held for days, no, they were held for months in special hidden houses, while his people slowly squeezed the families for money.
The highest money we collected is from First Act, $1 million.
And here is the detail that shows you his mind. Evans demanded his ransom money in foreign currency. See, he understood the weakness of the Naira better than some economists. This was a man running his own economy, built on other people's tears. In a moment, I'll tell you about the one victim who survived and brought his whole empire crashing down. A medicine company boss held for 3 months, whose escape sounds like a movie. But first, understand how big this was. The press gave him the title that stuck forever: the billionaire kidnapper. Then came a man called Donatas Dunu. Dunu was the boss of a medicine company. He was seized in February 2017 and held for about 3 months. His family gathered a ransom reported in hundreds of thousands of euros. And then the one crack in the empire, a chance appeared for Dunu. Dunu escaped from the house where he was held. He went straight to the police and he carried the one thing Evans had hidden for 10 years, a map of the whole operation. In June 2017, police special forces surrounded the mansion in Magodo. The mighty Evans, the ghost of Lagos, was dragged out of his own living room in front of cameras in his house clothes. The trial dragged on for almost 5 years. Delays changed the stories, court drama, but in February 2022, judgment finally came. Life in prison for kidnapping, with more convictions and more years added in other cases. Evans is alive today, locked inside the kind of maximum security prison. The billionaire's empire is now a cell. Why does he rank higher than a man who escaped a supermax and a man who owned a city? Well, some people might ask. It's because Evans was something. He was something new and more frightening. A criminal living quietly inside the system, respected, unseen, for 10 good years. The most dangerous criminal is not the one you fear. It is the one you greet every morning. Before our top 2, let me show you the men who almost made this list. And trust me, when you see who did not qualify, you understand how dark our top 2 really is. Abubakar Shekau, the mad leader of Boko Haram. Thousands of deaths. He died in 2021, blowing himself up rather than surrender to his rivals. South Africa, 1994 and 1995. The country was living a miracle. Mandela had just been elected. Apartheid was falling. Hope was everywhere. And inside that exact moment of light, a shadow went hunting. Women began to disappear around 3 places: Atteridgeville, Boksburg, Cleveland. Later, police connected the cases using those 3 letters, the ABC murders. The worst serial killer in the history of South Africa was Moses Stole. And now, the detail I warned you about at the start of this video, the how. Stole did not hide in dark shadows. He created a fake charity organization. Its name is so painful, it is hard to say out loud. Gauteng Youth Against Human Abuse. He printed the flyers, he carried the documents, he wore a clean pressed shirt, and he offered jobs. Think about it. In a country with one of the highest unemployment rates, in townships where a job interview is a family's biggest hope, a polite professional man offering work was not a warning sign, he was a blessing. Daughters and mothers told their families the good news before leaving home. He turned hope into a weapon. Every jobless woman in Gauteng became a possible victim. There was anger under his methods too. Years before, Stole had served prison time for rape, a conviction he always claimed was false. Investigators came to believe his murders were revenge against women. He even telephoned a newspaper, The Star, boasting and claiming the killings. South Africa's biggest detectives, with help from infamous international crime profilers, were chasing a ghost in a business shirt. In October 1995, the hunt ended. Police cornered him. Reports say he came at them armed and he was shot in the leg. In December 1997, the High Court found Moses Stole guilty of 38 murders and 6 robberies. The sentence remains one of the most shocking ever spoken on this continent. 2,410 years in prison. And the judge ordered that he must serve many decades before anyone can even discuss parole. He's still in prison today. We will not end this chapter on him. We end it on them, 38 women who wanted nothing more than work and a future in a newly free South Africa. Number 1. Joseph Kony, the man who stole a generation. In 1987, Joseph Kony declares himself a prophet of the Akoli people and founds what becomes the Lord's Resistance Army. Here's the dark genius of Kony's method, and the reason his name still makes people shiver today. He did not recruit soldiers, he stole children. With his army, he raided villages and schools at night, kidnapping and marching children into the bush. Boys were forced to become killers, girls were handed out as so-called wives. An estimated 60,000 children were abducted across 5 countries. Children were sometimes forced to end other abductees so that escape felt impossible and home felt unreachable. He weaponized belief, and fighters were anointed with oil and told it would shield them from bullets. Kony's spirit possessions made him unpredictable. Even his own commanders feared him. Every evening in the early 2000s, tens of thousands of children walked from their villages into near towns just to sleep on shop verandas and hospital floors. Not because they had no homes, no, but because home was where Kony and his army came at night to kidnap the kids. In 2005, the International Criminal Court issues its very first arrest warrants in history. At the top of the list, Joseph Kony. And then the world actually tried to catch him. 2011, the United States deploys special forces and aircrafts to hunt him with a $5 million bounty on his head. But Kony was untouchable. He was unreachable. Imagine American commandos, African armies, drones. How does one man beat all of that? So where is Joseph Kony today in 2026? Researchers, defectors, including his own relatives and intelligence reports, point to the same region, the remote forest of Eastern Central African Republic. Oh wow. Thank you so much for watching this video this far. I'm honestly grateful, and I'm kindly asking if you can subscribe and like the video. If you are new, please like the video, and let's have more than 2K likes on this video.